Hello YouTube. Hello YouTube. This is Ben, and I want to talk today about an issue of relevance in what pastors preach and say. Um, to me, a preacher or someone like that who speaks, there's three things you need to look for. Number one, what's the point? Like, is it explained clearly what it is they're trying to say? Okay, that should be pretty obvious, what it is. Number two, I think proof is pretty important. I think you shouldn't go around just making claims without giving some form of proof that at least will justify it for the audience you have. So, I mean, if your audience is a bunch of people who accept the Bible as true, then you just need to back up what you say with the Bible. And number three, relevance. And what I mean by relevance is just the big bag of things that you believe in your everyday life, that everybody believes, that everybody goes by and does and thinks, and their actions and their choices and their values. Does what you have to say when you speak, does it come in contact with that? So if you say, tell people to follow God and depend on God and, don't follow the world system of evil, or something like this, it can be very irrelevant. Like, how does that affect the things that people are actually doing every day? Like, what specifically should a person actually do? What does that look like in everyday life? And so usually what you find from like local pastors is they'll be very clear with what they have to say, but they won't be very relevant. It won't see how this will affect anything once they stop talking. It's just something that affects while they're talking, and they stop talking and it's done. Whereas the big name, like big shot preacher guys, it'll be like the reverse, and they'll be very relevant, but we won't really understand what their point is. So like, I was at the Move conference a few years back, and this guy got up there talking about, there's a lot of Muslims moving into Georgia, and sexual trafficking is a problem in Georgia too. No, he didn't say those were connected. And just everyone in the crowd's like, oh, they're ready to go to action, because that's relevant. That's right here. That's a thing, but like, what does he want you to do? What is the point? I went to one where Vadi Bakum said, youth ministry is not biblical. And that's a good example of something that's incredibly relevant, because he was speaking at a youth ministry conference. That's relevant. Like, okay, this is significant to what we do every day. But at the same time, he never really explained what he meant, by what he thought was biblical and what exactly wasn't biblical about it. He's just, making a really relevant statement. Whereas the local pastor will say things that, don't follow the world system of evil. You need a metamorphosis from the inside, and, don't follow worldly things and give up your life of sin. What are those sins? What are those worldly things? What are, when this metamorphosis happens and you become more like Christ, like, what specifically has got to happen? So it could be super irrelevant teaching on the one end, and then, super relevant teaching that's not explained clearly on the other end. And now, the final thing I want to make a point about is proof. Proof can be the test to keep pastors from just going off and spouting their own beliefs. And if they can back up what they say and prove that it's true, then that keeps them from just opening a book of the Bible or to a verse and just reading it and then immediately thinking of all their views and all their values and just going off the deep end with some random thing that they think is true or they think is important. If you can prove your point true, then it ceases to be your point and it just becomes the truth. 1 + 1 = 2 is not my truth, it's just the truth. So that's something to think about for today, and I hope you have a good day. Thanks, bye. Oh wait, don't forget to check out my invention video. I forgot that. And my blog. I haven't blogged in a while, but hopefully now that I got a computer, I'll be back doing some blogs. Thanks, bye.